This may not come as a surprise to either of you, this question. Both of you have promised a productivity drive to re-energise the economy and to create jobs. And both of you are aware of successive government reports that tell you that the greatest boost to the nation's productivity, one which could create up to 50,000 jobs over time, could be achieved by building a second international airport at Badgerys Creek. Now, I want to pose this question first to you, Mr. Abbott, and forgive me for being blunt.
Sure.
But surely, after 30 years of debate, it is time to act in the nation's economic interests and just build the bloody thing.
Well, Simon, I accept that we do need to do something about airport capacity serving Sydney. I absolutely accept that. We cannot go on for another decade the way we have over the last 6 years, and we've had a government which has not advanced us 1 inch, 1 yard over the last 6 years on this. Just a few weeks ago, the Infrastructure Minister said that a decision would be made in the next term. Well, I will make a decision on this in a term of government, should I get it. The first thing you've got to do, though, this is the first thing you've got to do, is to improve the infrastructure surrounding the existing Sydney Airport, which is clogged at peak periods, completely clogged. That will boost the capacity of the existing Sydney Airport. That's why I'm so determined to build WestConnex. It will happen under the Coalition. It won't happen under Mr Rudd. And if you take the pressure off major roads, you take the pressure off the feeder roads as well.
So you have committed to make a decision, match that commitment, to make a decision in the next term of government, right? Prime Minister, your response?
Let me answer this in two ways, because I think it answers two parts of Simon's question. He talked about productivity, then specifically about Sydney Airport. Can I just make the point on productivity? Under the Fair Work Act, it's really important, labour productivity actually has been growing at 1.9%. Under Work Choices, it was 0.7%. Let's just bear that in mind before everyone assumes that somehow the Fair Work Act is counter to productivity outcomes. Second point I'd make is this. Productivity is driven by a whole bunch of things. It's driven by relative energy prices, including the burden being faced by a whole bunch of people through gouging by state government-owned electricity utilities as well. That brings down the relative competitiveness and efficiency and productivity of firms. The level of skills that we're investing in for firms, that drives productivity. That's why we are so passionate about our investment in education. Furthermore, our investment in infrastructure, enabling infrastructure, like the National Broadband Network, goes to all of Australia, not just to Sydney, Simon, and therefore that also is capable of lifting the productivity of firms. These are the drivers of productivity. We're passionate about that. On Sydney Airport, there's a massive debate about where any second airport should be. I'm from Queensland, I'm not from Sydney. I hear contending arguments in terms of where or if such a new airport should be located. This lies with the Infrastructure Minister. I'm sure recommendations will come forward at the right time and that appropriate decisions will be made on when the existing site at Kingsford Smith reaches its capacity. But I go back to the productivity drivers. That is a much broader equation for all Australians. And therefore, it's got to be investing in people's skills, investing in the new infrastructure and making sure we've got competitive energy prices. Like, for example, bringing on new gas supplies to bring down the energy price like in the United States.
You did say when, you did say when and if. Are you saying there's some question mark over whether Sydney needs a second airport?
I'll defer that question to those, for example, Minister Albanese, the Deputy Prime Minister, Minister for Transport, because that is how it's appropriately deliberated on. I don't believe...
It needs leadership though, PM.
Oh, but hang on. I'd hate again to say to the good folk of Sydney that theirs is not the only airport in the country. There's one in Brisbane, there's one in Melbourne, and if the argument which Simon put was about productivity, I'm just making a pretty forthright argument that it's the efficiency of our port infrastructure in which we've massively invested, the efficiency of our rail networks we're massively investing in, and Mr Abbott is saying he won't ever invest in a urban rail network, and we've currently got billions going into Brisbane, Redcliffe Rail, into other projects around the country, including Melbourne with the Regional Rail Express.
I think we got the list from both of you on various projects.